The views and opinions on this show are for entertainment purposes only. The only factual information is any story that has happened to AT2 or the parties involved. Other than that, go ahead and get you a drink, get you something to eat, just relax and enjoy the show. Let's have fun. All right, y'all, let's get real. What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Talk the Real Deal with AT2. And yes, I'm your boy AT2. How everybody doing? How everybody living? You know what? I got this camera kind of crooked. What's up, everybody? Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. All that good stuff. You know, if you want to drop something in the Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, right there. Send a super sticker or a super chat. Definitely, I want to go ahead and start out by saying prayers to Gena Tew. This is the woman that we're going to be talking about today. You know, everybody kind of gave like their story, and this is no slide to any bloggers or anything like that. But you know, everyone kind of gave their opinion about it. But I kind of wanted to come from it from a knowing your status and getting checked standpoint. Because especially me being single, it's very important that, you know, you go get tested every 6 months and stuff like that to know your status and know what's going on with your body and stuff like that. You know, more frequently because of, you know, mental health and my cholesterol, you know, I have been going to the doctors and stuff like that. So, you know, getting tested and stuff like that, that's nothing to me now that I'm regularly, in my eyes, shit, I've been to the doctors a lot in the last year, you know, but it's important that, you know, if something don't feel right, you go get checked out. And so I wanted to come from that standpoint, but let's go ahead and get into Gena Tew. Okay, so Gina, the picture on the left is a throwback picture from 2013. The picture on the right is her now. She is trying to gain strength back in her legs. For those of you who don't know, she said about she's been living with AIDS for 10 years. Now, I want to clarify something because it automatically doesn't go to the AIDS right away. It's HIV, and then eventually what they call stage 3 HIV is then known as AIDS, and that's the latter part of the disease or infection, unfortunately. So, you know, so she had been living with HIV, and then when it got bad, then, you know, that's when it turned into AIDS, and that's what she has right now. She did state that she's on 5 different medications. Right now, she's trying to gain strength back in her legs. Now, I know there has been this whole controversy of the celebrities that she was linked to, as far as Nick Cannon, Chris Brown, Chief Keef. My thing with that is that I know with Nick Cannon, we know that he has lupus and he gets tested regularly and stuff like that. So we can assume, now we don't know anybody's status, but we can assume he's okay. But then I kind of started thinking about what if the other people that maybe don't know their status, maybe they're all like, oh shit, she got this, maybe I got it. Because automatically what goes through your head when, and let me just be transparent too. you got that call saying like, hey, I got something, and you all like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Even if it is something like chlamydia or gonorrhea, you're like, oh shit. You be like, shit, I just took a piss and I felt a little burning sensation. Oh shit, is it that? Things and thoughts go through your mind. So just imagine if someone said, hey, I have HIV, automatically think like, oh, you flash back to the crisis in the 80s, not thinking like, okay, even if you do have it, it is treatable, and you can live a long life no matter what. I do want to make that clarify that. And thank you, Stephanie, for mentioning that. It is definitely treatable. What's up, Eggs with Makeup? What's up, Naya? It is treatable. Did I put your comment? Oh, you know what? I got lotion on my hands. That's what happened. But yeah, it is treatable. Definitely once you get the proper care and stuff like that. Again, the reason why hers is so advanced is because she had been allegedly living with this for 10 years. And so, at that point, and also she did mention that she was going to the doctors and stuff like that, and they didn't know what was going on and what was wrong. They were doing blood tests. They were doing bone, tests and stuff like that. They were doing all these different kind of tests, but they didn't know what was wrong with her. That part I'm a little suspicious of, because I'm all like, if they were, taking your blood and stuff like that, wouldn't they realize? Because what it is, and remember, I'm not a doctor, but anytime they take your blood, they kind of look at the numbers and stuff like that. Like, that's how I found out that I have high cholesterol, because they looked at my blood, high cholesterol, pre-diabetes. They looked at that and they was all like, oh, they could tell by the blood. So it was weird that them taking her blood, they didn't go like, something is wrong. And what it is like, with HIV, it's your blood count, how they can tell. And your blood count would be very high. And that brings me to my next point, because I think sometimes what we think, and remember, I'm speaking from a single person. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm married, so I don't worry about that. You should be worried. But anyway, we ain't going to talk about that. We ain't going to get into that. But, as a single person, you should always get the 6-month test and everything like that to make sure that you're okay. Let me be completely transparent with you guys. The first time I got, STD test was at age 26, because I always felt like, and I'm pretty sure a lot of men think this way, oh, well, shit, I feel fine, so I don't need to get tested. Now, when I got tested, everything did come out clean. I was good. However, I waited until I was 26 to go get tested. Now, granted, I'm one of those people that are really heavy into using condoms and stuff like that. I always be like, oh, is there a condom? Do you have condoms? I always say it's very important. And I'm sorry I'm missing everybody's comments too, but I'm just kind of going through the motions. I'm one of those people that are very heavy with condoms, oh, I'm good, this and that. No, like, we need condoms. Now, are there times where you be like, oh, well, fuck it, like, no, yes, let's be clear, there's times where we don't use condoms, you know what I mean? It happens. And so those times you are taking a risk, whether it's pregnancy or the other stuff, you're always taking a risk whenever you don't use condoms. Because even with, let's take it there. Even with condoms, you're still taking a risk. And that's why, as a single person, you should always get tested and know what's going on, especially having promiscuous sex. And we're not holding Gina accountable. We're not holding her not accountable. We're not blaming her, because we've all, went out there and had unprotected sex, or there was a situation, and no matter what it is, we're not blaming her or anything like that. It can happen to anybody. Let's also put this out there. Oh, It don't smell funny. It smell clean. I don't see no bumps. Sometimes we think like if it smells good, we don't see no bumps, that it means that it's clean. But the outside necessarily doesn't tell us what's going on the inside. I mean, we've all, well, at least for me, speaking from a man, the sniff test. Let's put it out there. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the sniff test. Make sure it smells good. Okay, it smelled good. Oh, then it's good to go. That don't always mean what that don't always mean that internally it's good, you know. Ladies, when you look at the shaft, you go like, oh, the bumps, you look, oh, do it got any bumps on it? Like y'all looking too. So let's be clear, let's be honest about it. Y'all look for stuff too and make sure that it appears to be clean, but you really don't know because, like I said, it's an internal thing. You don't really know if it is or not. So it's anytime that you have unprotected sex or just sex in general, you are taking a huge risk. See, Candace, she said, yes, I do that. Okay, I also want to know. Now, let's be clear. Some of y'all ain't being honest out there. It was reported that, you know what? Yes, I did hear about that, and that's very unfortunate. If that's how she contracted it. Hey, Keisha, thank you for coming. JC said this is so sad. Right, right, right. Um, and I know some people are maybe they have that mindset, like I talked about earlier. For those of you just joining in, like, hey, I feel good, so I don't need to go get tested, or I don't need to go do that. No, 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 no. Just because you feel quote unquote good doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You should always. And let's be honest too about something. Getting checked also is different from getting a room checkup or something like that. If you want to be tested, you need to specifically say like, hey, I want to be tested for this, because it could be a thing she went to the doctors for, like a cold or something. I'm just using an example, like a cold or something. And so of course they wouldn't test you for everything, but it's important every 6 months, even three. I think you can go 3 months, right? What's up, Leanne? What's up, Marcella? I think you can go every 3 months to go get tested. Yeah, you can. Every 3 months to go get tested. If you are a single person or if you are having promiscuous sex, please go get tested. That's the only thing that's what I really want to drive home. And now, going back to Gina's status. In regards to her having AIDS, eventually she will get better, and then she will just have HIV. I'm very hopeful that she'll get better. She even has put on weight. She went to 60 pounds, and now she's at 88 pounds. The video that I seen, she is trying to gain strength in her legs, like I said earlier. So it does seem like she is on the mend. She's going to have to keep taking the medication and stuff like that. And again, the reason why her condition is so severe is because she did not get checked up, and she's in the latter stages more than the early stages. The early stages, they put you on some medication, and then you'll be fine. And you can live a long life. You can live a long life. It is not a death sentence. You can live a long life. But because hers might have been from 10 years ago, and she's really on she was really on the decline, this is why she's in the condition that she's in now. And again, I'm not blaming her. She went to the doctor and they didn't tell her what was wrong with her and stuff like that. That is not her fault. I'm just saying that as a single person or a person having promiscuous sex, you should always get tested regularly to make sure that you're okay. What's up, Carolyn? What's up, Marie? Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate that. Right, right. Because also, too, if you do have HIV, you only have to take one pill. As she stated, she has taken 5 different ones. And the reason why she has to take the 5 is because she's on the ladder than, in the early stages or on the mend. And what people don't know is that you still can have sex. You still can have children. When you're on the medication and your blood count is low, you can still live a regular life. Like I said, it is not how it was in the 80s and stuff like that. You can still really live a regular life, and you can still have kids. Once you get to that standpoint, then you'll be fine. And it was things like I did want to do like research on this before stating a lot of this stuff. So I did look up and do research before coming on camera, because I was like, I kind of want to come from this from a different standpoint and letting people know, like, hey, go get tested. That's the important part. What did you say, Stephanie? Actually, that's not the case. Once a patient has progressed to AIDS, even if she has T cell count that is higher than AIDS cutoff, she will still be considered AIDS patient. Oh, okay. Hey, Stephanie, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link for you because I can't keep up with your comments. So I'm going to drop the link for you. Okay. We're going to play a commercial and we'll be right back, you guys. I'm going to wait for Stephanie to come up.
Say members only jacket or membership? I think they said membership. Make sure you join my membership today. Remember, the prices range from $6.99, $9.99, and $19.99. And what's so special about the higher 2 tiers is that you actually get a discount for a StreamYard class. Yes, I do still teach the StreamYard classes. Make sure you hit me up in the DM if you like one of those. The StreamYard classes are in 45 minutes to an hour, just me and you, just one-on-one, where I go over the basics of StreamYard. Now, if there's anything else you want to learn how to do, please just hit me up and let me know. And I do promo too, right? Make sure you hit me up at at2entertainmentbooking@gmail.com or on Instagram at at2_for real.
All right, y'all. Oh, and Marcella, hopefully you and your husband are doing good. Definitely prayers. Go ahead and put put hearts in the chat for Marcella and her husband, by the way. And anyone can come up too as well. I went ahead and dropped the link. Now, Stephanie, you done said all that in the chat. You better click the link now. Oh, shoot, what happened to the chat? Oh, it disappeared on my computer. But anyway, going back to what I was stating, it's one of those things where you always oh, here she go. Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing? Her internet. I think her internet. I'll go ahead and drop it again. Drop the link. Something that I found interesting was that the initial video where she was giving like a update on her health and stuff like that, it was 4 months ago. So it's weird how now the story has picked up. The original video, let me see if I can find it, you guys. But the original video was 4 months ago, and it's just crazy how now this picked up. I think once they linked her to all these celebrities, I think that's how it picked up. And I know she did an interview with Tasha K, but I have not. Well, it's on her website, so that's why I haven't watched it. Stephanie is right here. Hey, Stephanie, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the floor.
Hey, I just just by virtue being in the LGBT community, this is a condition that is still primarily, although it can't affect anyone, it's still primarily transmitted between gay men, and they're the biggest population that is still suffering, are experiencing, living with, not suffering, they're living with HIV. They're the highest category. They're the highest percentage, and transmissions are actually still way too high for what we know and what we can do to prevent it. They're still way too high. And I think the reason that we are not able to get it down is due to stigma. It's due to misinformation, it's due to fear, and it's also due to socioeconomic
Thank you,
and
Lisa K.
racial marginalization, you know,
Mhm.
because the biggest category of gay men who are contracting this virus are Black gay men.
Mhm.
And that is because of you know, barriers to care, barriers to prevention,
Right.
and you know, economic barriers, right? And it's because the failures of the government and the failures, honestly, of the AIDS prevention and the AIDS nonprofits community, or
Right.
that industry, to
And there are a
go
lot
out
of
and help
nonprofits
people who
that
need
can
it
help you
most.
too, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah,
medication and care and stuff like that.
there are, but you know, I think my position is that there are underserved communities who, you know, these organizations need to be reaching actively and need to be providing for actively. You know, we have high rates all over the South. That's not a coincidence. It's not a
Mm.
coincidence, you know, and it's because people are, we still have attitude that we even knew in the 80s was incorrect, right? We knew back in the 80s that it wasn't transmitted by, you know, skin to skin contact. It's not transmitted
Or
by
wasn't it airborne that they used to say?
airborne. Yeah, it's not airborne, you know. And it's not even, it's not that, I am not at all saying that people should take precautions. They absolutely should. Your body is yours to protect every single
Mhm.
time. You protect yourself. And I, you know, please don't take my comments to mean that you're not, you
Stephanie's
shouldn't.
not a doctor, too.
You know, I'm not a doctor, but you know, and this is not, this is just, you know, statistics that are just common knowledge. We know these, okay? That this is not a one-to-one transmission. Just because you have sexual contact with someone who is living with the HIV virus does not mean automatically that you have contracted it. Okay,
Right.
this is actually a very unstable virus. It's actually a very hard. It does not transmit well. I mean, this is not a very sort of stable, you know, robust virus. There's a lot of things that environmentally that will destroy it, and you know, it just so happens that you know, we don't understand why it necessarily, you know, why some people contract it and some people don't. But it is not a one-to-one. You know, you partnered once with a person who is living with HIV, and now you know you got it. It's, you know, and you need to necessarily you know, going into an emergency panic state. Don't do that.
Right. And you're specifically talking about someone who doesn't know their status.
Right,
Because,
right.
like I said, when you take your medication, you can live a normal life, you know, and
Yes,
your blood count will be so low where you can't transmit.
that's right. And that's also important. And thank you for pointing that out, because we are at a very we are at a place, you know, and this is something that people need to understand, is that we are in a position here that with the proper um you know, one pill medication, your viral load can be so low that it's undetectable. Okay. And
Yes,
because of
that's the
that,
proper word, undetectable. Yes.
undetectable, and undetectable, as far as we know, is means it's untransmittable. And
Right.
that, and I'm not saying like that, you again take all proper precautions. Don't trust anything. This is important. But it's also, we do not need to demonize,
Right.
stigmatize, or ostracize people who are living with this virus. We don't.
Right.
And you know, and that is part of the reason why even sympathy, even something you think is well intentioned and sympathetic, could alarm someone and make them feel, you know, stigmatized and alone when you say like, oh, I'm, you know, when you basically are trying to help them, but you want to express that you're sorry that, you know, they got this news or whatever, but you say something like, you know, how does that feel, you know, to
Yeah. Or how
you
did you get it? You
know,
know,
or
I
how
heard
did you
that's
get
very
it?
disrespectful, right?
You know, how did you get it? But also, like, don't treat them like they're gonna die. You know, this is not like 1983. You know, they may very well live longer than you do. You know, it's not a death sentence, and
Mm.
so, you know, pity. is not an appropriate response here.
Right. And Kate, thank you so much. I appreciate this comment. She says, I have an acquaintance who's been married to her husband for 22 years. He's been HIV positive for 25. She has never contracted the virus. Yes. Thank you,
Very
Kate, for
positive.
expressing that.
Yes, thank you. Because, this is I think, the blowback of, speaking about how, educating everyone about the dangers and the precautions we need to take.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they had a sort of subtitle, a sub theme of like alarm and fear. Remember, put them on the island and then blow up the island. That was, there's politicians saying that in the 80s, tattoo them, and it's like,
right.
We want to protect people, and we want to help people, but it's like at the same time, don't make them feel like, it's you're so sorry for them, you're so sad. That is also a way to stigmatize.
Right. Like you have to care for them in a different way or make them feel. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think, if we don't talk about this stuff, if we don't, destigmatize, and we don't make this a thing people can speak openly about, that is the best transmission vector for this disease or condition that it has.
Because like I was
saying, secrecy.
Right. Because like I was saying, I just imagine being like Chris Brown or Nick Cannon, and this story is going around, and you like, wait, what the, because like, just like I said, like getting that call, like, hey, I got chlamydia and gonorrhea, you need to go get checked. And you're like, oh, damn, oh, shit, oh, like you think your dick is about to fall off. I'm sorry to be so direct, but that's what went through my mind. Got checked, everything was fine. But, you just think like, oh, God, and so I just imagine this information being out there, and they're like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I all my best wishes and and thoughts of power and recovery and health go out to the young woman. But I also am worried a little bit, or concerned, as to why this has become a news story and the celebrities have gotten involved in the headlines, because I'm very sort of curious if this is the first time that is this her way of informing them? Is this the first time she's tried to inform them as a public?
I got a little information from the people that did watch the Tasha K interview. She didn't necessarily state that she had relations with those people, but it was kind of left up to, people's interpretation. So she didn't exactly answer, but like I said, and I was looking for the video. It's in my DM. But she had talked about this 4 months ago. She didn't say any celebrities or anything like that. What got people talking is that I guess someone noticed who she was, and there was like some throwback videos and pictures of her with celebrities and that kind of stuff. That's why it's becoming a conversation. Remember, this was 4 months ago, and now it's picking up.
Yeah, and I would just wonder what and that makes more sense, and that makes me kind of less a little less troubled by it, because if other people were connecting her to these celebrities, that's one thing. But if it was like, because it's typically, like you're saying, like the health department is like goes around and like tells people, you had you've been named as someone who is a possible partner of someone who has contracted the virus, yada yada yada.
Right. And here's my thing. They might not know who to call, because remember, she's been living with this for 10 years. So like, do you just call everybody?
I mean, back in the day they used to, but I don't know now, it may be just that it's not it's not spreading at such a high rate. We know there's precautions and stuff. Maybe they don't do the
Right.
entire
And just like I
vector.
said, if it's promiscuous sex, you don't know
Yeah,
who. If I go on Plenty of Fish and then
that's
get it,
it.
I don't know if I'm ever going to talk to her again or not. You
That's
know,
true.
like I probably
True.
blocked her before she blocked me, so I don't know.
Right. And so I just am I'm concerned. I guess my concern is, and I don't mean to, throw any shade at the young lady. I'm not saying this for sure. I just, I think whether she was well intentioned or whether she did it or not, or whether other people were making this a news story. I'm afraid that this kind of publicity, quote unquote, or this kind of attention drawn to it is further stigmatizing. I don't know. It seems like we're kind of using this as a like, oh my gosh, does Nick Cannon have blah blah blah,
Right,
and it's just sort of like another way to like make it abnormal and scary and something that you would keep your mouth shut about.
right, right, right. And
And so
and that is a good question. I think beforehand, probably, the health department would call, but I think now, but also like I said, I think it probably. Well, she said that she thinks that she got it from when she was ARD. You know what I
mhm,
mean? So that's a
yeah,
whole different
yeah,
scenario. But it could be a thing where like if it is a promiscuous encounter, then how would you actually know unless you got the contact information, then give that over. But if you just say like, oh, I just had sex, they can't force you to. So I
not at
think that's
all,
probably
not at
what the
all.
situation probably is.
I just hope that this story does not sensationalize the possibility that a black man has HIV and it becomes this whole thing of like, scary down low men,
Yeah.
infecting women. Like we used to have those conversations back in the 90s. And there's just a
Mhm.
lot of, it puts a lot of we don't need to sensationalize this. There's no reason to sensationalize it. There's nothing. It's a condition. It's like diabetes or you know
Right.
um congenital heart failure. There's nothing that is makes you a bad person or a scary person or a failure as a
Right.
human being if you are living with HIV.
Right. She is and thank you for saying that, because I think my message and the way I wanted to approach it is that she's not like a bad person, or she's not like she doesn't have a scarlet letter on her like, ooh,
Exactly.
ooh, you got to stay away, you
Right.
know.
Right. And if it turns out, whoever was the whoever passed this, they're not either. They're not either. And if it's Chris Brown, is that the one mentioned, or Nick
Yeah.
Cannon, or a guy, Joe on the street, like it doesn't. There's nothing that makes them somebody that we need to complicate their life over this. And you
Right.
know
Thank you,
um
Mandy.
and so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's I like the way you're going with this news story, because you're right, like we need to have an honest conversation about HIV. But
Mhm.
like, woo, my goodness, Chris Brown has HIV. That is not going to help nothing. It really, really
Yeah,
isn't.
because I heard somebody the other day say, well, actually, no, it was this morning. It was like this guy, he was saying that, oh, well, people thought Chris Brown was on drugs, but maybe it's this because, this Chris Brown eyes is sunken in, his cheeks is all this. And I'm not like, oh, Lord, like, please
There
don't
we go.
start that, because, yeah, if somebody was like, oh, AC2, he look a little sickly, maybe I would be pissed.
So yeah, I mean, um, this is nothing that, I mean, we don't need to speculate about it. We don't need to. It's their business. If they want to talk about it, they can talk about it. It's
Right,
just it's another health condition. That's it. That's it.
right.
That's all
And
it
I
is.
hope they know their status.
Yeah, I hope they do too, because it helps get into care. That's what keeps you safe and living a long time.
Right, right, right. And you can't whatchamacallit, like sneeze on somebody and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
they get it. Like, yeah, like you
yeah,
have to. That's why I was like, you know what, it's important if we have this conversation, we gotta destigmatize it, because you know, we definitely don't want anybody getting like, oh, then everybody must have it if this person have it, you know.
Right.
It's very important. Oh, Jennifer is here. Jennifer, do you have anything to add?
Hey, I'm
And
gonna have
Jennifer, I shouldn't. You know what? That might be a little offensive because I'm all like, oh, well, Jennifer's gay. Let me go ahead and invite him up here. I'm sorry, Jennifer, if you were offended by me asking.
Hey, AT2, I'm gonna drop back down in the chat because my
Oh
phone is
yeah,
going
go
off
ahead.
like crazy. So I don't want you to get copyright restricted because you know my ringtone is Luda. So all right, all right, I'll
And
talk,
thank you,
talk
Stephanie.
to
I
you
love
later.
you
Of
for
course.
coming up. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
No problem. Okay, let me catch up to your comments real quick. The key of any type of illness is to find out as soon as possible. Yes, exactly. That's why I was all like, please go get tested. You know, like I said, just because you know it might smell clean or ain't got no bumps on it doesn't mean that internally it is clean. You know what I mean? What's up, Brandis? Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, if you single or you out there having promiscuous sex, please just get tested regularly. You know, every 3 months or 6 months, usually 6 months, but 3 months, you can also do it. I looked it up real quick too, as well. What's up, Andrea? Thank you for coming. Okay, here we go. What's up, Jennifer? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. No, I didn't. I didn't find it
Okay,
offensive. You're like, oh, the gay guy enters the
I was like,
chat.
there's another gay in here. Let me go ahead. We have Stephanie, now we have you. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
No, but what I was going to say is I also think that Stephanie was making really great points, and especially about stigmatization, especially because this is a woman of color. She was involved with heterosexual identifying Black men. And I know personally that as a gay person, whenever I was in my 20s, was like in the 90s. And so
Mhm.
I've seen in the 90s and early 2000s many gay men die, of HIV and AIDS, and especially young gay Black men, because it is so stigmatized in the gay Black community. Not just in the Black community in general, but also in the gay Black community. And
Mhm.
so they don't go get tested because they don't want to know, they don't want to be ostracized. And then they die at such a young age. And so I think that out of this, if anything positive can come out of this, it can be, a conversation about stigmatization and, how
Right.
it's not the end of the world, especially with medications now. I mean, it used to be that the old medications would like basically kill you slowly, you would stay a
Damn,
lot.
I didn't know that. So
Yeah,
the
you would.
old medication would basically be kind of like a band-aid, but you would still eventually pass away.
Yeah, because what it would do is it would mess up your kidneys, it would mess up your liver, it would mess up
Mm.
a lot of your vital organs, because the medications were so harsh. But now they have much cleaner medications. It used to be that people had to take, multiple pills a day, which made it hard for them.
Right.
Now most of the regimens are just one pill a day. You know what I mean? And they're much cleaner medications. You know,
Right. And I was saying that Gina, she has to take 5 because she is more on the latter. You know, she has 8.
right.
So that's why she has to take 5 pills.
Yeah, and I mean, once it's that advanced, then she probably also has some drug resistances, which makes it
Mhm.
harder too. So they have to figure out a different way to do it. So, like the one pill a day, like most of the time, people who do that are newly diagnosed, but like aren't already into what they would call full blown AIDS, because
Okay.
once you get to that point, your body, the virus has mutated in ways, if it's not treated, that you can actually be resistant to many medications that are out there. So they have to find something that can work. And that's obviously probably why she has to take so many medications.
Right. Stephanie said, and while all this is true, the treatment complex, government, and nonprofit and medical services are not made available in Black communities and do not address the barriers to care. Thank you, Stephanie, for stating that. I appreciate that. Another thing, because Stephanie mentioned something, and I got this wrong. I don't know if you know, but I had said something about, oh, once Gina, her blood count gets down, she'll have HIV, and she said no, that's true. It's not true. She will be seen always as an AIDS patient.
That's correct. Once
Okay.
your once your CD4 count goes below a certain number, I can't remember if it's 200 or 250, but once it goes below that number, you have a permanent AIDS diagnosis. You will never just go back to just being HIV positive. However, there are people who may get to that point, but then the medications do help them, and their viral load becomes what's called undetectable, which means
Yeah.
that there's less than a certain number of copies in the blood. And now we know that if your viral load is undetectable consistently for 6 months or more, then you cannot transmit HIV to someone else through sexual contact.
Right, right. And I say you can still have sex, you can still have children. You know, a lot of people think like once you have it, oh, you can't be touched or anything like that, but that's not true.
It's not the case at all. You know, it's still
What's up,
obviously
Nikki?
it's still obviously very important to know you know, who you're sleeping with, because even if someone was undetectable, who's to say that they didn't go off of their meds and their viral load has went back up? Because that is what will happen if you if
Mm.
you do not take your meds as prescribed. So I mean, someone could be undetectable, you know, 6 months ago, but then have went off of their medications for multiple reasons, you know,
Right.
loss of a job, you know, a lot of it depending on where you live, or you know, who your healthcare provider is. I mean, there is access to care out there for pretty much everyone because of Ryan White. So Ryan White funding will pay for your HIV medication.
Oh, you said Ryan Wright?
Ryan White,
What?
WHITE.
Okay.
And Ryan White was actually a little boy who, in the 80s or 90s, I think in the 80s, contracted HIV through a blood transfusion. And he actually did end up dying of AIDS, but that was back in the day where we didn't have medications like that. But
Oh.
Ryan White funding will actually, like, so if someone, let's say, had insurance through their job and their insurance paid
Mhm.
for medication, paid for their medications, but they lost their job, in every state receives Ryan White funding, and you could actually go and you could get Ryan White funding that would then continue to pay for your medications so that you don't have to go off of them.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you said the Ryan White, this happened in the 80s?
Yeah, he was a little boy from Indiana.
Okay, because I've never heard this story before. And like a lot of people were saying, Leanne, Kay, they said they remember. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just posted the link too for the Ryan White program. Because definitely and I should have did this before I started the show, like put, you know, different links and stuff like that, but I went ahead and put it in there now.
Yeah. And Stephanie is also, I see in the chat, talking about
Oh,
PrEP. Now, I have a I would just say
cover it.
I would just say that PrEP to me is, it has its pros and its cons. Okay. So, for instance, not every state will provide PrEP for free, like Stephanie is saying. So, therefore, if you have a job and your insurance pays for PrEP, but then you lose your job and you don't live in a state where you can get PrEP for free, then you're going off of that medication. What that does is, whenever you are on one of those medications and you quit taking them for a certain period of time, it's very possible that you can become resistant to those drugs, which means that if you should ever become positive, that is a problem. There's also, whenever they first started doing PrEP, they used Truvada. Truvada has also had many lawsuits because it is damaging to your liver. And so now they do Descovy, I think, for PrEP more often. But PrEP is rather controversial to me, especially whenever you're talking about younger people, because, you know, whenever you're young, you're not really thinking about taking a pill every single day for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And
And
so,
especially if you don't have it, you're probably all like, oh, well, I ain't got it. So,
yeah, exactly. And so then that causes further complications down the road. So I just have I have a pro and a con with PrEP. So, and yes, Stephanie's right. It does. It can. Those pills can cost thousands of dollars.
oh, wow. So, there's not always programs for PrEP like there is for the actual, when you have HIV and have to get medication.
Exactly. It depends on the state where you live in.
Okay.
Some states do fund it, some states do not. It is
Right. And I'm
becoming
pretty sure here in California, I'm in the Bay Area, so I'm right next door to San Francisco. So I know here it's like a big thing. You know, they do AIDS walks and stuff like that. So I know probably here they have a lot of programs and stuff like that. But like you said, where it's more conservative, it probably isn't anything, or it's not advertised. You wouldn't know about it, you know?
absolutely. And so, a lot of people don't know about it. I just think for me, I think that I think that condoms are always the better option. But
Mhm.
obviously everybody's not going to use a condom all the time. Nobody uses a condom all the time. You know what I
Right.
mean? Absolutely nobody that I've ever known, including myself.
Right.
So,
It can
you know,
happen to anybody. That's what I
yes.
was saying. Like, just because it smell good or it got bumps on it, don't mean that it's internally clean.
Absolutely. There are plenty of other STIs that you can get that are harmful if they're not treated. I mean, things
Right.
that will last with you forever. And even something that people don't often talk about enough is HPV. With
Mhm.
women,
Yes.
a lot of women will have HPV and it can take years and years for it to even show up that you have it. But then it can cause cervical cancer, ovarian cancer. And in gay men, it can also be dormant for a long time, but then cause like rectal cancers. So
Mm.
it is, we have all of these things that people need to think about, and PrEP isn't going to stop HPV. You know what I mean? It can help you prevent HIV if you're using the medicine like you're supposed to, but it's not going to prevent something like HPV. So people
Right.
still have to think about those things too. And I think that sometimes people think, oh well, if I get on PrEP, then it's going to, it's going to be a problem solver for everything, and I can just go raw dog it
Mm.
all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't.
And definitely my condolences, JC. I'm sorry about that. She had a friend that died from cancer caused by HPV. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry,
really
Jason.
real out here.
So yeah, I mean, I just think that there are a lot of conversations that can be had, and like I said, I do hope that this brings about a conversation about stigma,
Yes.
because immediately thinking, oh, even if she was positive, and let's say that these celebrities had unprotected sex with her, the likelihood of them actually catching HIV is very low, especially if they are the I don't know what word I want to use, but if they're the one doing the penetration, like they're not being penetrated, it's much
Mhm.
it's a much more unlikely chance that they would get it as a male. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So
Right.
so
But still, anyone can get it from.
yes. And Mandy is correct. There is a vaccine available for HPV. However, it is only up to a certain age range. So if you have people who are
Oh.
already aged out of that, then it's not effective for them. It's called Gardasil, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you can just go and get the vaccine. It's a certain age
Yes.
range for
Yes.
it.
They really prefer they really just started doing it for like teenage boys. It started out as just for teenage girls and up to the age of 24, I think. But now they're also recommending it for boys in the same age range.
Okay. Okay. So it's mostly for teenagers then.
Yeah, yeah, it's for teenagers to young adults. They do
Okay.
say that people can take it, if they're a little bit older, but I think the efficacy rate is lower, that it will
Right.
actually prevent it. You know what I mean? So, there's just all kinds of things. But again, I hope that, there can be a conversation about stigma, especially in, underserved communities, whether they're communities of color, whether they are just, I know, like, in back when Mike Pence was governor of Indiana, there was a huge I mean, not huge, but compared to the size of where it was in a rural county in Indiana, there was an HIV outbreak that was caused by intravenous drug users. I mean, that's where it came from. And so they wanted to do a needle exchange there, which a lot of people are like, oh, you're just encouraging them to do drugs. But what you're actually doing is preventing them from having, if they can get if they can go to rehab and get out of that. But if you have HIV, that's something that's lifelong. And it's very expensive to treat someone with HIV for the remainder of their life. And so, Mike Pence, being the religious, loony that he is, didn't want to do the needle exchange, but eventually did.
But he eventually did.
Yeah, he eventually did, but it was in a small county in Indiana, and it was a very large outbreak because and it came from intravenous drug users. It honestly, a lot of times, for a while.
And shout out to Diva. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
9 through 45 now. Okay, great to know. Great to know. So, I mean, there are a lot of women who are at risk. There are the highest new infections are of young gay Black men between the ages of 13 and 24 for HIV, especially in the South. If you're looking through the Bible Belt, because they don't have the services, they don't have the education, they don't have the money for the outreach to those communities. And that's a big problem. And it's all about, these states in the Bible Belt who say that.
Oh, wow. Stephanie said harm reduction is prohibited and criminalized in Texas. Wow.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's sad that in this country that you have to worry about where you live. You know what I mean? But it's very important. I'm really glad that you covered this today. I had seen something about it online yesterday, but I had read a little bit about it, but I'm really glad that you're covering this. So
yeah, I just kind of wanted to give a different standpoint from it because we can get into the salacious and stuff like that. However, I wanted to come from it from a different standpoint and like how important it is just to get tested. And just like you were saying, like even with the whole PrEP and everything like that, preventative measures, you still got to worry about all the other diseases and stuff like that. And so I thought it was just important, like we say, like, hey, if you are single or you having promiscuous sex, please just go out there and get tested every 3 months or 6 months to make sure that you are okay.
Yeah. And I think that PrEP is also a conversation that needs to be had just because of the reasons that I mentioned. I just feel like whenever it came out, it gave an unreasonable comfort level, especially to young gay men, to think, oh, well, I can do this. But, if I don't have the money for it next month, then I'm just not going to take it. And you can't do that. And I'm not sure that healthcare providers out there are making these things clear to them. If you're taking PrEP, this is a lifelong commitment. And whenever you are 19, 20, 21, even 30, do you really want to think about having to take a pill every single day for the rest of your life? Most people don't. So
I hate taking like vitamins and stuff like that, like fish oil vitamin. I'll be like, I don't want to take that, so I can just imagine somebody young, like, you ain't taking that every day. You ain't even tripping off of that. You only worry about something that you have to take, like medication that you have to take, because this is,
Yeah, it's like, I'm diabetic and, I'm not insulin dependent, but I have to take, and I have high blood pressure. So I have to take my high blood pressure medicine and my diabetes medicine every day. And people are like, oh, well, it's just a couple little pills or whatever. But what people also don't realize is that mentally, it is a reminder every day that you have something wrong with you. And it can really affect you mentally, no matter what it is. So it can be, even that is a conversation that needs to be had. So, as far as PrEP, but, I'm glad that, I hope that, this young lady continues to improve. It seems like her health is starting to improve. And, let's not automatically jump to the conclusion of, oh, well, Nick Cannon, well, Chris Brown, they probably have it, and they probably have sex with all these girls, da 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 da. I don't think that it should be come at from that way. That's their responsibility, to get tested, and let
Right.
that be where it is,
Right. And like Jennifer and Stephanie were saying, like the female to male ratio is very low. And especially if you are the one, how do I put this, inserting,
Yes.
It's very low. But then again, we do have to be fair because anytime that you have a cut or a nick, or if you already have a pre-existing STI or something like
Right.
that, it's all
Yes.
your penis can be already inflamed, and then so it's a lot that goes into it.
And that's actually something else that's very important, because that what you just said, if you already have an existing STI, you are much more likely to contract HIV. So if you have one that is untreated, there are people who can have, for instance, syphilis and not even know that they have it, but it would still be much more easy for them to contract HIV because they do have syphilis. So, all of those things are very, very important. So.
Right. And Patrice, thank you for bringing up herpes, because herpes is one that you have to specifically ask for. Not all the time they run those. I learned that recently.
Because a lot of people never even have an outbreak,
Right,
that they would
right.
know.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
I really do appreciate you coming on and just sharing the knowledge that you have, because you taught me a lot. And I was like, whoa, it's just crazy because, like you said, I'm glad that, we did have this conversation today, because it's bringing so much information, and, we're all having an honest discussion. And I do believe that it is, am I saying the word right? Destigmatizing it.
Yeah, destigmatization.
Yeah. Destigmatize. Yeah, we ain't holding nobody. We ain't blaming nobody. Damn it, that's what I'm trying to say. Shit.
Right. And, unfortunately, as a gay man of my age, all of my little friend group that I ran around with in my 20s, there are only 2 of us who are still alive. And the other ones all died. The majority of my friends were Black, and they have all either passed away from HIV, AIDS.
Sorry about that.
And then one who was positive, est, he est himself. So it also creates a lot of mental health, problems as well. So
right.
And Sebastian, no, AIDS is treatable.
I was going to ask Sebastian if you can clarify what you mean by that.
Yeah, it is. The definition, really the only change in HIV and AIDS is your CD4 count. So I was saying I couldn't remember if it was 200 or 250, and somebody in the chat said if your CD4 count goes under 200, which those are your basically your cells that fight off infection. So
okay.
Yeah. So some people say CD4. They used to call them T cells, but that's where it is. That's where it goes from HIV to AIDS. And again, if you get lower than 200, you will always have an AIDS diagnosis. However, your CD4 count can go back up to 700-800. And be normal, but you would still have an AIDS diagnosis, because once you get to that point, it's already done a lot of damage to your body.
Right. We are missing a large part of an entire generation of gay men.
Absolutely.
What's so crazy is like, this girl was allegedly living her life for 10 years and not even know this. So it's just crazy kind of thinking about it, that you can just be living your life and not really know,
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the crazy part. It's not like all of a sudden you get it and like, oh, you disappear. Like, no, like you can be living your life and then all of a sudden you get sick and you're like, wait, what's going on?
And you can be gone real quick. Like, I mean, I've known, like whenever I was younger, the 90s is whenever I was like really in the club and stuff. And we would see somebody, and then 2 weeks later, they'd be gone. You'd be like, what happened? They'd be like, oh, he died of AIDS. And 2 weeks before, you never
Just
even
like
knew that.
that?
Just like that. Like, you never knew that he was sick. He didn't look sick, nothing. Like, you just don't know. You just don't know. That's why it's important to get tested.
Oh, wow. I am sorry about that, Bunny. She said, I knew a 60-year-old woman who contracted HIV from her husband. He had a lover who was on heroin junkie. Wow. I am really sorry about that.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to jump down AT2. Thanks for letting me come up.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and end the show right now. And like I said, I want to say thank you to you and also Stephanie as well, too. Thank you for coming up.
All right. See you later, man.
All right. Have a good one. All right, you guys. It seemed like everybody appreciated this conversation. Like I said, I wanted to kind of take it from a different standpoint and more make it preventative measures and sharing a lot of information and help with destigmatizing this as well, too. Thank you to everyone for showing up in the chat. Again, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff. Again, if everybody can put hearts in the chat for Gena Tew. She is the woman that is currently battling. She does look like she's on the up and up. She is at 88 pounds now, so it does seem like she is on the mend. I just hope that everything turns out okay and she rebounds from this, and to anybody that, like I said, shit, I'm gonna just throw it out there. Even if your ass is married, if you're married, single, having promiscuous sex, unprotected sex, just go get tested every 3 months or 6 months, you guys. Just be careful because you really don't know. Just because it don't smell funny or it ain't got bumps on it, go get your ass tested. We out of here, y'all. Deuces. Love y'all.